tell you my relationship with him was very different than Christine and his. I never knew till later on that they were really struggling.
What happens when the dream of a big, loving family unravels on national television? When private heartbreak becomes public drama and the people you trust the most are the ones who let you down? Today, we step inside the world of sister wives, where love, loyalty, and betrayal collide in a story that's as riveting as it is heartbreaking. This isn't just about reality TV gossip. It's a raw, unfiltered look at how complicated family ties can become when trust is broken, when hope refuses to die, and when someone you love chooses control over connection. At the center of it all stand Christine Brown, a mother fighting to protect her children's hearts, and Kody Brown, the patriarch whose choices have left lasting scars. Recently, headlines lit up with an unexpected twist. Christine Brown suggested that Kody's relationship with his children is an ongoing story and might, somehow, get better. It's a hopeful statement, but for anyone who's read Christine's own book or watched the painful unraveling of their family, those words feel bittersweet, maybe even impossible. Christine's memoir gives us an intimate, often gut-wrenching view of her years with Kody. Years filled with neglect, emotional distance, and broken promises. She details how he repeatedly failed to show up for their children, missing milestones, neglecting their needs, and, at times, abandoning them altogether. Imagine promising your kids, "Dad will be here today. He loves you. He can't wait to see you." And then, nothing. No call. No knock at the door. Maybe, on rare occasions, a quick hello before retreating to a bedroom upstairs, leaving the kids waiting, wondering, hurting. Christine lived that reality. Over and over, she tried to shield her children from disappointment, telling them their father loved them, hoping it might eventually be true in action, not just in words. But Kody's pattern rarely changed. So why, after all of this, does Christine still sound hopeful when she speaks to the media? Why does she imagine that things are going to be better? Part of the answer may be simple: she's a mother. Her youngest daughter is still a minor. And mothers often carry a fragile, stubborn hope that somehow, someday, an absent father might finally step up. But there's another layer. Christine understands, perhaps better than anyone, how charming Kody can be when he wants to. Narcissists are like that, able to project warmth and charisma when it serves them, only to withdraw it as quickly as flipping a switch. It's a cycle that can leave partners and children alike second-guessing reality, clinging to the hope that the good side will reappear and stay for good. Kody himself has been blunt. He expects absolute loyalty, not just from his wives, but from his children. According to multiple accounts, he's made it clear that if his kids cannot accept his wife Robin, they can't have a relationship with him. Think about that. A father choosing allegiance to a spouse over unconditional love for his own children. That's not just disappointing, it's devastating. And yet, Christine's public statements still contain that tiny flame of optimism, the wish that maybe, for the sake of the kids, things can change. It's a wish many viewers recognize, a wish familiar to anyone who's hoped a difficult parent might one day wake up and finally show up. The pain here isn't just private. Because this family's life has been broadcast for years, every heartbreak risks becoming a storyline. Christine's daughter Mykelti once pointed out that as long as the show keeps running, real healing is nearly impossible. How can the children speak openly to their father when every conversation might be edited into next week's episode? How can they trust that their words won't be twisted into content? This is the dark side of reality television, when personal wounds become public property, and when the people involved can't tell where family life ends and the cameras begin. Christine Brown's journey is more than tabloid drama. It's a powerful case study in resilience, hope, and the painful reality of loving someone who refuses to change. Her story reminds us that optimism, while beautiful, can also be a heavy burden, especially when it keeps you waiting for a transformation that may never come. To understand why Kody Brown's children keep their distance today, we have to look closely at the moments that shaped them, the broken promises, the quiet disappointments, and the painful events that left lasting marks. Christine's book paints a vivid picture of a father who was physically present at times, but emotionally absent. Birthdays came and went with only a quick hello. School events passed with empty seats where a dad should have been cheering. Christine recounts how she would constantly reassure the kids, "Your dad loves you. He'll be here soon." But more often than not, the waiting ended in silence. It wasn't just an occasional lapse, it became a pattern so familiar that the children stopped believing her promises. Imagine being a child and realizing that the person you look up to most simply isn't coming, again. That kind of repeated letdown doesn't fade, it becomes part of your emotional blueprint. One of the most striking examples is a daughter's major surgery, a critical, nerve-wracking event for any family. Kody didn't show. No father's hand to hold, no comforting words, just an absence that spoke louder than any excuse. Christine was left to shoulder the fear and care alone, and the children absorbed the message. When life gets hard, Dad may not be there. There's also the story of an ATV accident involving a son on the autism spectrum. According to accounts, Kody's carelessness played a role, and the incident highlighted a deeper truth. His lack of consistent, protective presence wasn't just emotional, it was physical. In another case, their son David, who has autism, was reportedly forced to stay in an RV parked in an Arizona driveway as a form of punishment for not complying. Picture that, a child isolated in a small metal box under the desert sun, learning that love is conditional and that acceptance depends on obedience. These incidents weren't isolated. They created a climate of insecurity, where the children never knew whether affection or indifference awaited them. It's impossible to ignore the polygamous structure of the family. While plural marriage is often framed as more love to go around, the reality, especially when one partner seeks control, is starkly different. Kody was juggling multiple households and relationships, but instead of spreading love, he seemed to spread neglect. Christine has said it plainly, the lifestyle might look grand on paper, but for women, and for the children, it can be heartbreaking. For a man who already struggled with emotional availability, maintaining 4 families was not just difficult, it was an invitation to fail. Compounding the pain were Kody's conditions for love. He repeatedly signaled that his children had to accept his wife Robin, or lose access to him. That's not parenting, that's a loyalty test. It forced the kids into an impossible choice, accept a dynamic they found toxic or sacrifice a relationship with their father. In healthy families, parental love is unconditional. But Kody's message was clear, my affection is earned, and allegiance to Robin is the price. For many of the children, that was a price they simply could not, and would not, pay. As if private conflict weren't enough, the ever-present cameras of sister wives turned real pain into entertainment. Conversations meant to heal could be edited into dramatic episodes. Kids who tried to talk to their father risked seeing their words reframed for ratings. Kody Brown summarized it best, as long as the show continues, there can be no true healing. How do you build trust with a parent when every interaction might become next week's cliffhanger? The show blurred the line between family and franchise until the children felt like supporting characters in their own lives. Christine and many observers describe Kody's behavior as classic narcissism. Triangulation, pitting people against each other to maintain control. And conditional love, which keeps everyone off balance. In families with a narcissistic parent, children often face a painful paradox. They crave connection but learn that connection comes with manipulation. Eventually, many choose distance over the constant cycle of hope and hurt. Through it all, Christine remained the steady force. She tried to protect her kids from the worst of the fallout, softening Kody's absences, keeping her own frustration hidden. But even the most devoted mother can't erase the impact of repeated betrayal. Her decision to leave the marriage was not just about her own freedom. It was an act of protection, a statement to her children, you deserve better than this. You deserve honesty, respect, and love without conditions. The picture that emerges isn't one of small misunderstandings or ordinary family tension. It's a long-term pattern of neglect, control, and emotional distance, a pattern the children eventually refused to accept. Christine's hope for reconciliation may spring from love and optimism, but the wounds are deep. And as we'll see next, those wounds don't simply fade with time, they shape the very way these young adults navigate the world. Music swells gently, then fades. Christine's memoir paints a vivid picture of a father who was sometimes physically present but emotionally absent. As Christine's children moved from adolescence into adulthood, the ripple effects of their upbringing became impossible to ignore. They were no longer the wide-eyed kids hoping Dad might finally show up. They were young adults forging their own identities, while millions of viewers watched every step. From the beginning, Sister Wives blurred the boundary between family life and primetime entertainment. What started as a reality show about plural marriage soon became a weekly dissection of personal conflict. Arguments, tears, awkward family meetings, everything became storylines. And for the Brown children, that meant their most vulnerable moments weren't just private memories, they were episodes streamed across the world. Think about the pressure. Every disagreement with a parent could be edited for dramatic effect. Every candid comment might become a meme or a headline. Trusting a parent who could turn your words into television content is almost impossible. It's no wonder Michael T. Brown remarked that healing would remain out of reach as long as the cameras kept rolling. By the time the older children reached adulthood, many had quietly drawn their own boundaries. Some limited contact. Others went completely no contact, an agonizing decision that outsiders sometimes misread as rebellion. But for those who grow up with a narcissistic or controlling parent, distance isn't defiance. It's self-protection. Therapists call it going no contact, a choice often made to escape the fog of manipulation and regain mental clarity. It's not about punishing the parent, it's about preserving one's own sanity. Cutting ties, however, comes with its own grief. Many of Christine's children have spoken about the ache of wanting a father's love while knowing that contact means reopening old wounds. That longing never fully disappears. It lingers in birthdays spent apart, in holidays where an empty seat reminds everyone of what could have been. And still, Kody has maintained his stance. The door is always open, but only if his children also accept Robin without question. It's an ultimatum disguised as an invitation, one that shifts responsibility onto the kids while he clings to control. For Christine, watching her children make these choices hasn't been easy. She remains publicly hopeful, sometimes even optimistic that reconciliation is possible. Perhaps she holds on for her youngest daughter, who is still a minor. Perhaps she simply refuses to believe that a father could stay estranged forever. But she also understands a hard truth: no amount of encouragement from her can repair a relationship that Kody himself refuses to nurture. The change must come from him, and he shows no sign of meeting his children halfway. Family therapists often describe relationships with narcissistic parents as all or nothing. There is no half relationship. The narcissist demands total loyalty, and anyone who questions them is either drawn back into the cycle or shut out completely. For children of such parents, the healthiest option is often to step back entirely, even if it means losing contact with both parents when one parent enables the other. Christine's kids have lived this reality. Protecting their mental health sometimes means accepting the loss of a father figure altogether. Despite the pain, many of Christine's children are carving out strong, independent lives. They've built careers, started families, and nurtured friendships that give them the unconditional support they once craved at home. Their resilience is striking. They're proving, in real time, that your childhood does not have to define your future. And Christine herself has blossomed since leaving the plural marriage. Fans see her smiling freely, embracing new opportunities, and modeling strength for her kids. Her growth underscores a crucial point: breaking away from a toxic dynamic is not just an ending, it's the start of something better. The Brown children's journey shows that healing sometimes requires distance, and that self-preservation is not selfishness. They've learned, often painfully, that unconditional love can't exist where manipulation and ultimatums thrive. Soft music fades to a hopeful note. In the final part, we'll reflect on what Christine's story teaches us about breaking generational cycles, setting boundaries, and finding peace when change never comes. Every story of family estrangement leaves a question echoing in the background: what now? When the parent you hoped would change refuses to grow, when the door to reconciliation stays closed, where do you find peace? For Christine Brown and her children, the answer has been a hard one but deeply inspiring. Christine has said it herself, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. For years she tried to create family harmony, tried to shield her kids, tried to believe that Kody might finally show up in the way they needed. But eventually she recognized the truth, she couldn't make him become a present, loving father. Acceptance wasn't surrender, it was clarity. That clarity freed Christine to build a life on her own terms. It also gave her children permission to accept reality instead of clinging to false hope. They could stop waiting for the grand gesture that never came and focus on creating healthy futures for themselves. One of the most powerful lessons here is the importance of boundaries. In families with a controlling or narcissistic parent, boundaries aren't acts of defiance, they're acts of survival. A boundary says, I love myself enough to protect my peace. For Christine's kids, that has meant limiting or even ending contact when interactions became toxic. It isn't easy. It can feel like mourning someone who's still alive. But it's also the first step toward breaking generational cycles of neglect and manipulation. Away from the cameras and the constant tension, each of Christine's children has been free to rediscover who they are, outside of the Brown family brand, outside of Kody's expectations. Some have built careers and families of their own. Others have pursued education, advocacy, or creative passions that have nothing to do with reality TV. In interviews and social posts, they speak with a confidence that was rarely seen on screen. They're proving, day by day, that your upbringing may shape you, but it does not have to define you. Christine herself has flourished since leaving the plural marriage. She's built a home filled with laughter and stability. She's rediscovered joy in simple moments, cooking with her kids, traveling, even sharing glimpses of her life with fans who cheer her on. More than anything, she's modeling resilience. She shows that you can walk away from a painful past and create something healthier, not just for yourself, but for every generation that follows. Why does this story resonate with so many people who've never heard of